do all that you can, with all that you have, in the time that you have, in the place where you are, because each day is a special event. Ladies and gentlemen, Ovide LaMontagne is proof of someone who puts his all into whatever he does time and time again. Because he believes he can make a difference for you and for me and for the state of New Hampshire. His character, his high standards for himself and for our state are just a small part of what he brings to the, would bring and will bring to the corner office in Concord. Ovide has smiled and shaken hands and smiled and shaken hands more than I'm sure he wants to count. But he's taken time to answer everybody's question. Everybody has their own question. Everyone has their own whatever. I've never seen this man walk away, ever. And he's usually got a really cool answer, too. Not so bad.
And nice hair.
And nice hair.
No one. Thanks.
Guys, we're faced with a challenge in our country which is bigger than anything I've seen in my lifetime. And I am not a young'un. We have those who would move us towards weakness and reliance on government. Ovide believes that government should get the heck out of the way so our businesses and our lives can become stronger. He believes he can create the right environment for our businesses and towns and cities. Then we'll be able to move ahead on our own without government telling us what to do and how to do it. We've got a choice to make in the primaries on September 11th. And then again, in the general election in November 6th. That choice is Ovide LaMontagne for governor. So in case some of you don't know, we have our State Senator Jim Forsythe, whose campaign I also helped get winning too. So anyway, he's going to come and speak a little bit before Ovide does. Jim?
She just helped me just a little bit. She drove me around 3 days a week, like 5 to 6 hours a day, knocking on doors. And I bumped into a bunch of people here today and said, "Oh yeah, you knocked on my door." So if you were in Gilmanton, I probably knocked on your door. You may have not been there,
but they thought I was his wife.
So yeah, it's a real pleasure to endorse Ovide. I don't make endorsements lightly. I was involved in the Republican Liberty Caucus, which is an organization that purposely went after Republicans in the primary to defeat them. So my endorsement is not just because I think he's going to win. It's because I think he's got the right principles. I also do want to introduce Sam Cataldo. He's running for state senate in this district, and I'm certainly supporting Sam as well. He's got a great voting record in the House, and we really need to get him to the Senate. So please chat with Sam and get to know him. We did some really great things in the legislature in this 2 years, and it's heartbreaking for me that I can't come back and serve because of financial obligations. So I'm going to have to leave, and that's why I'm trying to spend some time to make sure that we get people into office that will continue the great work we did. We balanced the budget and we had to do that because of the increase in spending that happened by cutting spending by 11%. We haven't cut the budget. New Hampshire hasn't cut the budget since World War II. This is the first time we've ever had a budget cut back. And in the last 100 years, we've only ever cut the budget once, and that was at 1%. So we did some really great work. We did some great work on education tax credits where parents can send their kids to the school of their choice. But what was frustrating for me over the last 2 years is we had some really great stuff that we did, and the governor vetoed everything I cared about. So I didn't know until the last, until after session was over, whether or not I was going to be successful in some of these things like the tax credit bill. He vetoed everything. Fortunately, we had 19 Republican senators, but even then, we lost some of these good bills because not everybody sees eye to eye, because not everybody's, necessarily principled conservative. So we lost some of them. We got some of them. Right to work was the biggest one that we lost that I felt really awful about. I was a prime sponsor of that in the Senate. We need to get that for the state of New Hampshire's economy. Education tax credits we did get, but it was close, and we need somebody who will stand up for that program, make sure it doesn't get repealed before it gets started. And Ovid's got a great background in education. He really understands that parents are the core fundamental component that causes a quality education. And you have to give parents the choice and the freedom to do what they need to do for their children, whether it's homeschooling, private schooling, or going to public school, maybe a public school outside your school district. He understands that choice is what makes education great. So it's my great honor, my great pleasure to introduce Ovid. One thing I do want to say about him, is that the thing that stands out about him is courage. And that's something that I've seen in the Senate that not everybody has. There's a lot of big constituencies. Education tax credits was one where the teachers' unions really came out strongly against it. And you had to have representatives and House members that had the courage to stand up to them. The governor didn't. Right to work, you have the unions coming out heavily against that. It's a minority of the population, but they're a very vocal minority, and you have to stand up for the greater good of New Hampshire and stand up against them and have courage. The governor didn't. The federal government is getting more and more intrusive. We have to have a governor that will stand up to them. And I am convinced on all these fronts that Ovid is the one to do that. So it's my honor.
Thank you very much for coming out this afternoon. It's a beautiful Sunday. You could be on the beach, on the lake, fishing or hiking or watching a ball game. But instead you're here participating in New Hampshire's favorite sport, politics. That's what we're about. Our favorite sport is politics. And we're in a wonderful home. And Roger and Elena, thank you for opening up. Where did Elena? Oh, there she is back there. Thank you for opening up your beautiful home and providing this opportunity for me to meet some new people and for us to energize our campaign. I've always been a grassroots campaigner, and this is no different this year. In fact, it's more important than ever that we have people in the communities throughout our state who are willing to stand up, be counted for, and advance our cause. I'm asking you to be my ambassadors as we go through this election. I bring you good tidings from my wife, Betty, who unfortunately wasn't going to be able to make it today, but she's going to reconnect with me later this afternoon. She's I said the other day that the most important endorsement I've received so far is my endorsement of my wife, Betty. She's a summa cum laude computer science major, all-star field hockey collegiate goalie, Catholic school, high school calculus teacher, math teacher, a stay-at-home mom who chose to stay at home and homeschool our children as well as help our children develop into the fine young ladies they are. And I couldn't be prouder to have her endorsement. And on Thursday, she joined with the 600 Women for Ovid we were able to release. Thank you. A lot of you guys are here. That sends a powerful signal across the state and really across this country. In fact, Paul Westcott, who's on WGIR in the morning, some of you may listen to him, interviewed me Friday morning, and he said, it's kind of odd that you did this. He said most Republicans hide from standing with women because they're afraid. They're afraid of the issues. And I said, women's issues are our issues this election cycle. It's about jobs and the economy and the scope of government and the size of government. We have a unanimity here of interest, a common interest. And there is no war on women. The Democrats want you to think there is. There is none. And if you look at what we're doing and what we're about, women and men both can join in our effort. And I'm proud to be supported by 600 women. Maggie Hassan unrolled her Women for Maggie was 125 people. I don't know how long it took her to do that. It took us, and JP back here has been helping us out, JP and Donna, since the very beginning. They're wonderful supporters. Behind the flag. It took us, a couple of weeks maybe? 10 business days, but it happened very quickly. And we have a lot of room for other people who want to be Women for Ovid and to stand with me. It's fantastic. And other people may say the momentum's with them, but let me tell you, we're a month away from the primary, and yesterday we had a straw poll in Stratford County. When the votes were tallied, I had 91 and my opponent had 10. And we didn't bust anybody up, okay? I'll tell you that. We didn't bust anybody up. And Stratford County is the ancestral home of the LaMontagne family, so I'm always feel very good about being there, but I was really charged up after leaving there yesterday. My great-grandfather settled in Rochester in 1891, purchased a family farm in Rochester. It's still in our family. My aunt lives there, and we used to spend summers vacationing there and on a farm. It's kind of funny, but it was a great place to be on weekends. And so I like to remind people I'm a fourth-generation Hampshire native, the son of New Hampshire farmers, mill workers, and dentists. growing up the son of a dentist doesn't build character. I can assure you, growing up with a name like Ovide does. Guaranteed. It's the toughest name in politics. And when you grow up with that name, you have to stand strong. I feel like I've got granite in my backbone, and Betty says, you sure do. Sometimes I think you've got granite in your head. But sometimes that's needed, too. That kind of determination. And that's the determination that we need right now, not only in Concord, but in Washington. And I am sad as a New Hampshire citizen to see Senator Jim Forsyth, I say, take a leave of absence. Because my hope is we're going to have a New Hampshire economic recovery here that's going to mean that people like Jim Forsyth can come back to New Hampshire and work here and serve here. He deserves a great round of applause. If you ever had the opportunity to work with Jim Forsyth or Elena or Roger, there's a saying in the Boy Scouts, I'm past president Daniels of the council, there's an order or an award that's given, it's called the Order of the Arrow, and it's for cheerful service. It's about leadership with cheerful service, and I look at Elena and Roger and Jim, and they're positive people. Who says, Republicans or conservatives are angry? We're not angry, we're focused. We're optimistic because we believe in freedom and liberty. We believe the power of America lies in our people, not in government. It's that hope and optimism that the Balls bring to it, and Jim Forsyth. And when people work with Jim in the Senate, I mean, they saw him be a can-do representative. I want to be a can-do Republican governor who's going to be able to work with everyone across the aisle. That's why we've already organizing independents and Democrats and Tea Party people and people who are more establishment Republicans are coming to our team. And they're coming to our team not just to win a primary. They're coming to win that general election because they know what's at stake. What's at stake is a Democratic agenda, a liberal agenda represented by Maggie Hassan or Jackie Silly. I almost made a Bill Clinton mistake. Calling Maggie Hassan Maggie Silly like he did. Either one of those two Democratic candidates believes in bigger government. They supported the LLC tax and another 84 taxes when they were in the state Senate. Big government spending. They wanted Maggie Care. They wanted to set up a government bureaucracy to take over health care. I know the free markets work in health care, and we don't have free market reforms right now. We need to lead in that direction. If it's health care, if it's education, they stand with the union and the bureaucracy. We stand with the people. Homeschoolers, non-public schools as well as public schools. And thank God we got to start in educational scholarships money. Jim Forsyth does. When I was chairman of the State Board of Education in the mid-'90s, and I did serve as that. I'm a former high school teacher as well. Betty and I taught high school together, and then I became chairman of the Diocesan School Board, the Catholic school system in New Hampshire. So I have a lot of experience in non-public schools. But Governor Merrill thought, you know what? We can bring a fresh perspective to the public schools, and indeed I did. So I served for 3.5 years as chairman of the State Board of Education, calling on standards, putting into place and championing teacher, basically a merit pay system, which we got started at least, but it didn't go too far because of the opposition. But one of the important initiatives of that time was the passage of charter school legislation, which Senator Jim Rubens worked on with me and Governor Merrill. And we passed it. It was the first education reform of any significance since the educational system in New Hampshire was founded after World War I. We need much more education reform. We need site-based management. We need to align the interests of business and education through a program I call Learn to Earn, and so that we have value-added educational enterprise at the elementary, secondary, and post-secondary level. And that's going to mean challenging the orthodoxy and the paradigms here. So we're going to work to try to create what I would call a school choice environment for the public school system, and then to the extent we can bring in non-public schools. This campaign is about jobs, job creation, and government reform that will help to get government out of the way and create that environment for job creation. So I bring to you experience in business. I've been a business lawyer for the last 26 years and a business owner of my firm, one of the largest firms in New Hampshire, for the last 20 years. I know what it takes to run a business, and I know what the business owners in this audience know. You don't get paid until everybody else in the building gets paid, until your expenses are paid. You're the ones who hold all the risk. Now, fortunately, businesses can succeed, and they can succeed very well. But it takes entrepreneurs and investors and risk takers, and we need them to be finding New Hampshire as the best place to be located. We need to be let's hope that we are, after 2 years, known as the refugee state for entrepreneurs. So they will come to New Hampshire and start business right here and create jobs. And there's a number of things we need to be doing there. We need to deregulate New Hampshire. I'm for regulatory reform, like an economic impact analysis required of all our agencies to conduct about the cost of business or cities and towns or individuals for any new rules and regulations. And then let's start repealing those that are on the books that are antiquated, redundant, excessive, unnecessary. And let's clean house there and start to move towards a deregulated marketplace. And then secondly, we need to deal with another issue that, again, is an important issue for business, and that's health care. But it's also important for individuals. I refuse to allow the federal government under Obamacare to take control of Medicaid in New Hampshire and try to have a top-down approach. We are not going to do that. We're going to fight that every step of the way. Maggie Hassan, Jackie Silly, they think it's a great idea. And they, through their public utilities approach, through Maggie Care, that's what they would want. We don't want that. And then we're going to go forward and promote New Hampshire. We need an economic development plan for New Hampshire. We don't have one. We don't have a statewide economic development plan. And we need to look at the regions of our state and promote that. And I think we need to promote New Hampshire in our region with our neighbor to the north as well. Now, with a name like mine, I can go to Quebec and speak their language. And I can tell them why they should be in New Hampshire. When I've had an opportunity to do that in my business, this is the response I get. Oh, we know New Hampshire. We go to Old Orchard Beach every summer.
No.
Old Orchard Beach, that's not New Hampshire. Oh, it's the same thing. No, it's not. Hey, it's different than New Hampshire. They don't know us. And I submit to you that even New England states, southern New England states, don't really know New Hampshire. And the real differences about us. We need to brand our state. We need to promote it. I want to be the ambassador-in-chief working with businesses and individuals who want to promote New Hampshire, along with our soon-to-be renamed department, which is our marketing department, which we call DREAD. Can you imagine you're a business and your marketing department's called DREAD? Not anymore. We're going to change that. We're going to work with the legislature to really renew our marketing efforts, our economic development plan. So there's a lot of work to be done. I need your help. First of all, I need your vote. I'm asking for your vote in the primary on September 11th and certainly at the general election if you get me there on November 6th. But to the extent you're willing to put out signs, bumper stickers, write letters to the editor, I need you to be my ambassadors right now. And afterwards, I ask you to stay with me because if I'm successful, I'll need your help to govern. And I mean that quite sincerely. We're going to keep our team in place. So while I'm your voice in Concord, you can be my eyes and ears here in the communities of our state. And help us lead this state into a new era of prosperity. I have a plan, and it's on our website, ovide2012.com. Go visit it. But spread the word. Word of mouth is what makes elections work. And I only have to look at the 2010 election cycle when I ran for U.S. Senate. Grossly underspent, but came within 1% of winning in that primary. And it didn't quite work out, but I'm proud that Kelly Ayotte is representing us in the U.S. Senate. And I think I'm where I'm supposed to be, and that is trying to run for governor to win and serve you. I'm not running. And I can assure you, I'm not running to hold office. I'm running to make a difference in the New Hampshire tradition. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the great state of New Hampshire.
Croc TV.